Welcome back. I'm Michael. You're listening to The Michael Dresser Show. Don Miller with us, the author of Epilepsy Memoir, My 40-Year Detour. His life card followed the straight and narrow through the 1960s. Early in the 70s, at age 11, 1974, he had 2 grand mal seizures. That's what they were called then. His first neurologist had told him that I've seen many times before when adolescence ends, your seizures will stop. Well, that was 40 years ago, and he'd taken a strange detour down the electric highway, a prolonged adolescence and a journey that is yet to stop when dealing with epilepsy. It is known among the diagnosed. It is all known among the diagnosed. It pays to have one heck of a sense of humor. Don, I welcome to the show.
Hi, Michael.
Oh, and thank you so much for being here. You know, my goodness, there are so many times when you go to the doctor's office and there's limited knowledge about something, and especially going back to, in the 70s when you were first aware of it, I don't think they really did know. And that had to be in and of itself scary. And it's right. You got to have a sense of humor. You got to be able to move through this with some kind of brightness, or I can only imagine what life would have been like.
Be very serious and very depressing.
Yeah. Now, for you, once you found out that this is the way it's going to be, what was your mindset like? Where was it that you changed that mindset, accepted it for what it was, and decided to make the most out of it?
Okay, I didn't really know what the word epilepsy meant until 3 years later after I saw my first neurologist. And at that point, I read a pamphlet or brochure that he had in the waiting room and found out that I had a chronic seizure condition. And from that point on, you had to be positive, or, like I said, you'd be depressed.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Now, epilepsy today, epilepsy is epilepsy any way you look at it. But have we grown, in the medical community, the knowledge grown to be able to deal with the problem? Are there more options available today than there was in the 70s?
Okay. Well, the brain is still pretty much a mystery, but neurosurgery is an option. I have what's called a vagal nerve stimulator. It's called the pacemaker for the brain. Just like a cardiac pacemaker. It's connected to the vagal nerve, which is behind the voice box. It goes up into the brain and sends microamperages up there. That's one treatment option. And then there's the pharmaceutical route.
Yeah. Now, by the way, which way did you go?
Right now, I'm on a great quantity of medication. The one medication is 3,200 milligrams a day, the other 3,000 milligrams a day, and the last is 500 milligrams a day. I went the pharmaceutical route.
Now, by the way, when we're dealing with epilepsy, okay, obviously it's a neurological disease, but what are the symptoms? What do you go through physically?
Okay, I have what's called partial seizures. It involves part of the brain, complex partial seizures. And it stands for complex movement involving part of the brain. I went to a epilepsy seminar the one time, and the speaker said, anything you do normally, you can do abnormally in a seizure, which is pretty broad as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Now, by the way, there's something that I imagine you created, Epilepsy Fitness. What is that?
Okay. I wanted a way that people with epilepsy who were mostly on a budget, low income, could get fit using various exercises. And instead of dumbbells, which are pretty costly, I have them using soup cans. Each soup can weighs about a pound.
Yeah.
And you can substitute it for a dumbbell. Yeah.
Well, when you really come down to it, if you think your way through, there isn't anything that you truly really can't accomplish. Now, epilepsy in and of itself, obviously, I would say, and that is a guesstimate, but 90-some-odd% of the people who have epilepsy, it's very frightening because life now is not the way life was, and it's a whole completely different world out there with a lot of restrictions, physically, emotionally, etc. How do most people with epilepsy deal? Are there support groups? Are there people that understand it and know? Is there somebody you can go to when it really gets tough?
Yes, I led an epilepsy support group in St. Croix County for 8 years. We dealt with marital problems, emotional distress, on-the-job harassment, just venting thoughts and feelings. And then also the Epilepsy Foundation has a site. It's like Facebook for people with epilepsy, their caregivers, and family. And I started an online support group there. So I'm back to counseling people online.
Okay, and by the way, that's so necessary. Without that support group, I think most people would be in trouble. Have epilepsy, don't have epilepsy. You got to have that somebody that you can lean on, and I think that's so critically important. And I would imagine the support group has really helped a lot of people move through this.
Yes, the first time I attended the support group, I didn't realize that other people had it. I thought that I was alone, and there were 8 other people at the support group that had epilepsy. So at that point, I knew that I wasn't alone. The first word is epilepsy, the seizure condition. Second word is support, where everyone helps each other. And the last word is group, of course. Mm-hmm. So
is there much difference between, and this is a question because I don't know, epilepsy and Parkinson's disease?
Well, Parkinson's involves another part of the brain. It's mostly body tremors. There's balance problems.
Yeah.
It's a different disease.
Okay. Michael J. Fox, has it, and it didn't stop him. He's out there. You could see it. You could see it in him when he would have the tremors if he'd be in, one of the shows or whatever. So it's a different part of the brain, and and then there's different physical problems from it. Now, in and of itself, how do you get around? How bad are the seizures for you?
Okay, I have approximately 3 to 4 a week, mm-hmm. and I've never been seizure-free. It's hard for people with epilepsy to get a driver's license because you have to go,
sure.
In the state of Wisconsin, for instance, 90 days seizure-free. And we always called that in the epilepsy support group the unreachable goal or the 90-day hurdle,
yeah.
Because you'd almost get there, and then you'd have a seizure, and you'd have to start from point 1 again.
Sure. By the way, let me see. You're in Grantsburg, right?
Yes.
Do you know where?
Grantsburg, Wisconsin.
Yeah. Do you know where Fredonia is? How about Mequon?
No, I don't.
Okay. Near Minneapolis. You're near Minneapolis. Okay. Yeah, I was going to say if you yell loud enough, this show is coming from Wisconsin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, about 20 miles out of Milwaukee. Yeah, 25, 30.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Somewhere around there. Okay. Now, by the way, did you get a driver's license?
No, I've never had a driver's license.
Okay.
I depend on chauffeuring by my parents, my aunt, and I have several friends who are willing to drive me around.
Okay. Now, did it stop you from an occupation? Did it stop you from education?
Education-wise, I was mainstream educated. I have a regular high school diploma. I had 1 year of college. And then I have a microcomputer accounting assistant degree, which was a VOTEC. And let's see.
So in essence, you didn't let it stop you.
No. Right now I'm working as an author. I'm working on a novel, and the main character in that, he's struck by lightning, and afterwards he has psychic abilities, and he has epilepsy.
Now, by the way, if you were to, the essence of your talk, if you really wanted to get a message out, the core of what it is that you want to get out, what is it? What do you want the audience to hear?
Okay, people with epilepsy are normal, and that's a word I dislike. I think normal is a judgmental word, as everyone else, and that
Don, I wouldn't know what that word was.
And to the people with epilepsy out there, you are not alone. There are others.
Yeah, that's so extremely important for anybody to. There's two things that we need to hear as human beings. One is that we're not alone, and the other one is that there are answers. Obviously everybody's not going to get an answer in a 15-minute show, etc. But the point is that there are answers. And didn't one of your high school teachers have epilepsy way back in the 80s?
Yes, his name was John Storr, and he had 2 seizures in front of a classroom, and he was informed by the school board. This was pre-American Disabilities Act, which would have protected his position as teacher, that basically he had to vacate his position or he was fired because of his epilepsy. Afterwards, he got a job as regional delivery manager for a major newspaper in the Twin Cities. And he died in a fiery seizure-related auto crash.
Wow. Now, question, is it true that at one time there were epilepsy colonies, like the leper colonies, and there was one time that was illegal for anybody with epilepsy to either get married or have children?
Yes, that is true. The last epilepsy colony shut down in 1974, the year I was diagnosed with epilepsy.
Wow.
And
that's a shock.
As far as the marriage, yeah. Some enlightened society.
Yeah.
And then as far as the marriage and having children, that was illegal at one time. I'm not sure what year that was revoked. Right now, I have a friend on the Epilepsy Foundation. His name is Alistair. He lives in the United Kingdom. He's married, and they have 3 children.
Now, by the way, genetically, can it pass down?
Well, I was a patient of MINCEP, which is Minnesota Comprehensive Epilepsy Program, and they had a study on the genetics of it being passed down, and there was no conclusive results. So, I suppose it is possible, but there's been no conclusive evidence.
Yeah, the only reason I was asking that, if it was illegal to have a child if you had epilepsy, there's where the question came from. If there's no evidence whatsoever that it's not passed down, that's a very interesting law, or was.
Yeah. It's an invasion of our rights.
Absolutely. Yeah, no question about it. I think when it really comes down to it, when they make laws like that, they're frightened. And when I say they're frightened, they don't know how to deal with it. They're afraid of it, and we fear what we don't know. And I would venture to guess that there were a lot of people who are frightened to death of epilepsy because they don't understand it, they don't know anything about it, and anybody that has epilepsy probably scares people.
Yes.
I mean, not that you're scary.
Thing.
Not that you're scary, but if it can happen to you, it can happen to me.
That's correct. Yes, the brain is a pretty scary thing. Medical people still don't know much about it, even after years of study. And I thought, well, let's relate the brain to something that people know about. Cars, the chassis is the body, and the engine is the brain. And we're all cars, and some of us just have faulty electrical systems because a seizure is excess static electricity in the brain.
Now, by the way, we're just about out of time, so let me ask you this. Is there a website that we can find you and find the book?
Okay, my website is under construction, but you can find contact information on www.author.smiller.com, and the book can be found on Amazon.
Wonderful.
It's in Kindle and paper.
Great. And
Kindle and paperback version.
Don, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
I can only give you love that